The room went quiet as the message appeared. Everyone in the big galactic council chamber watched with fear as they saw the cry for help from the Luminary leader. "This is Zelthar, from the Luminary people. Our home is under attack by the Scourge. They broke through our shields and landed on our planet. We don't know how to fight this kind of battle. Please, we need help now." The screen showed tall, bug-like creatures rushing through beautiful cities made of crystal, breaking everything in their path. The Luminary were peaceful aliens who grew up on a world with no hunters or big storms. They built their world by working together, not by fighting. This left them completely unprepared for the cruel Scourge attack. Vrex, a jelly-like alien from a gas planet, moved nervously on his floating platform. "The Luminary are important friends in our space community. Their science and art cannot be replaced. We must help them now." "But who among us knows how to fight such an enemy?" asked another council member. "Our kinds have lived in peace for so long that most of us don't have real armies anymore." A small green alien from the far edges of known space stepped forward. Krill had been strangely quiet during the meeting. "There is one kind that might help," he said slowly. "They come from a world so dangerous that we call it a death world, a planet with heavy gravity, terrible storms, dangerous animals, and constant fighting among themselves." Whispers spread through the room. Everyone had heard of these Deathworlders, though few had ever met them. "You mean the humans?" Vrex said. "They are wild, dangerous." "Yes," Krill nodded. "But the Scourge are already killing the Luminary. What more do we have to lose?" After many hours of talking, the council finally agreed. They would send a team to Earth to ask the humans for help. Olivia Grant was enjoying the sunset at her family's farm in Montana when her comm unit buzzed. At first, she thought it was just another routine message, maybe a schedule change or a training update. As captain in the United Earth Defense Force, she was used to sudden calls, but this was different. A strange ship had entered Earth's space and was asking to land and talk with human leaders. And somehow she was being called in. "Captain, please report to headquarters immediately," the message read. "First contact situation. This is not a drill." Her peaceful evening vanished in an instant. Within 3 hours, Olivia found herself sitting in a secure meeting room at UEDF headquarters. Across the table sat 3 alien visitors who seemed to struggle with Earth's gravity. Their thin bodies moved carefully, as if each motion required great effort. "Captain Grant," began the small green alien who introduced himself as Ambassador Krill. His strange device turned his clicking sounds into English words. "We speak for the Galactic Council. We have come to ask for humanity's help in a matter of life and death." Admiral Frank Dawson, head of the UEDF, leaned forward in his chair. His weathered face showed both curiosity and caution. "We're listening." As the aliens explained about the Luminary and the Scourge invasion, Olivia studied the video they showed. The attacking creatures reminded her of the fire ants back at her ranch, each one not very smart alone, but deadly when working together. "Why come to us?" she asked when they finished talking. "I thought most council species see humans as dangerous savages." Krill looked uncomfortable. "Because you know something the rest of us have forgotten. How to fight. How to survive when everything is against you." The aliens explained that most advanced species in the galaxy had evolved past warfare. They had built their societies around peace and cooperation. War was a distant memory for them, something from their ancient past. "Our kind haven't had to fight a real war in over 5,000 years, Krill said. "We don't know how anymore." "Admiral," Dawson looked at Olivia and the other officers in the room. His eyes held a mix of pride and sadness. "We'll need to discuss this with our government. But I can tell you this. Humans don't stand by while innocent beings are killed, even if those beings have 6 arms and blue skin." After the aliens left the room, the human officers stayed behind to talk. "What do you think, Captain Grant?" the Admiral asked. Olivia took a deep breath. "I think they're desperate, and I think we can help." "The President and Joint Chiefs agree," Dawson nodded. "They've authorized a response force. I want you to lead it." "Me, sir?" You've shown good judgment in tough situations, Grant. Plus, you grew up on a farm fighting things that wanted to eat your crops. Those bug things in the video? You've been preparing for this your whole life. 3 days later, the massive UEDF assault carrier named Resolute was getting ready to leave Earth, along with 6 destroyer ships as escorts. Olivia stood on the bridge, watching her crew make final preparations. The ship buzzed with activity. As soldiers checked weapons, technicians tested systems, and officers reviewed battle plans. Lieutenant Sam Miller, her weapons officer, walked up with a tablet computer. He was young but smart, with quick eyes that missed nothing. "Captain, all fighting teams say they're ready," he reported. "We've loaded extra bullets in the new plasma guns. The jump drive is all green and ready to go." "Thank you, Sam. How are our alien guests doing?" Sam smiled slightly. "Ambassador Krill seems worried about our too many weapons, but he's staying out of everyone's way." Olivia allowed herself a small smile. "He asked for Deathworlders. That's what he's getting." She walked to the main window and looked out at the stars. Earth seemed peaceful from up here, but humans knew better. Their home planet had shaped them through countless challenges: predators, storms, diseases, and sadly, their own wars. Those hard lessons had forged humanity into something unique in the galaxy, beings who knew both violence and compassion. As the fleet prepared to jump to the luminary system, Olivia thought about what they might face. The Scourge were unknown, enemies with unknown capabilities. But one thing was certain: if these bug-like aliens wanted to destroy a peaceful world, they were about to learn what it meant to face humans in battle. "All ships report ready, Captain," her first officer called. Olivia nodded and took her command chair. "Jump when ready. Let's go save some aliens." The great ships vanished in flashes of light, racing toward a distant star where a peaceful people faced extinction. Help was coming. Earth was answering the call. The human ships appeared at the edge of the luminary star system. On the main screen of the Resolute, Captain Olivia Grant saw a sad picture: broken space stations, floating pieces of destroyed ships, and the once beautiful luminary planet now covered with dark burn marks visible even from space. "What do you see, Lieutenant Miller?" Olivia asked, her voice calm despite the awful view. Sam looked at his screen. "Scourge ships in high orbit. I count about 30. They're smaller than our ships, but they have more of them. They seem to be moving troops and supplies to the ground. Do they know we're here yet?" "No, Captain, we arrived outside their scanning range." Olivia nodded. "Good. That gives us the surprise advantage." She turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Carter, any answer from the luminary?" Lieutenant Alan Carter, a young officer from Texas who was good with languages, shook his head. "Nothing on the normal channels, Captain. Wait, I'm picking up something weak on an emergency line. It's coming from the planet." "Let's hear it." Tired, stressed voice filled the bridge. "This is Defense Minister Thal Ren. Our main city is overrun. We're holding the last research area with whatever defenses we can build, but we cannot last much longer. If anyone can hear this..." The message suddenly cut off. "Can you get them back?" Olivia asked. "No, Captain," Alan replied. "The signal is gone." Ambassador Krill, who was allowed to watch from the bridge, stepped forward. "The research area has their most advanced technology and their main data storage. If the Scourge capture it, they could get information about all Council worlds." Admiral Dawson's face appeared on a side screen. "Captain Grant, you are approved to attack. Your first job is to secure the research area and get any surviving Luminari out. Your second job is to push back the Scourge and set up a defense line." "Understood, Admiral." Olivia turned to her second-in-command. "Commander Beth Reed, get the landing teams ready. I want our heavy walkers on the ground first to secure a landing zone." "Yes, Captain," Beth replied, already giving orders through her comm unit. Sam looked up from his weapons station. "Captain, I've studied the Scourge ships. They have good energy weapons, but not much armor. Our railguns should cut right through them." Olivia smiled. Sometimes the oldest answers were the best ones. "Prepare all railguns, target their engines, and weapons. Let's introduce ourselves." The Resolute and its escort ships moved toward the planet, weapons ready. The surprise attack worked perfectly. 3 Scourge ships were destroyed before the others even started to react. "They're trying to form a defense line," Sam reported as the enemy ships moved around in confusion. "Keep attacking. Have destroyers. 3 and 4 break off to protect our landing ships," Olivia ordered. The space battle grew more intense as the Scourge recovered from the surprise. Energy beams shot out from their ships and some hit the human ship's armor. But the UEDF ships were built to take damage and they hit back even harder. Lieutenant Jack Nelson, flying the first landing ship, held tight as the ship shook around him. "It's rough going. Scourge are shooting at us from the ground." In the back of the ship, 50 Marines in powered armor checked their weapons one last time. Sergeant Lisa Reeves moved among them, her confidence helping the younger soldiers stay calm. "Remember your training," she called out. "These bugs have never faced humans before. They don't know what we can do. Let's show them." The landing ship broke through the clouds, giving Jack his first view of the Luminary capital. What was once a beautiful city of crystal towers was now a burning ruin, filled with Scourge troops. In the middle of the city, a dome-shaped building with makeshift walls around it stood as the last place where the Luminary were still fighting. "That's our landing zone," Jack announced, pointing the ship toward a clear area near the research building. 30 seconds to touchdown. As the human forces landed, they could see the true nature of the fight. The Luminari were physically weak compared to humans, with no history of fighting. The Scourge, while dangerous in large numbers, relied on having more troops rather than better tactics. But humans had been fighting wars since before they learned to write. Fighting was in their DNA, controlled by compassion and discipline. Q. First wave of Marines hit the ground hard, quickly setting up a defense ring around their landing zone. The heavy walkers, 15-foot-tall armored machines with pilots inside, stomped out of their transport ships, their weapon systems turning on with a high-pitched sound. Sergeant Reeves led her squad toward the nearest group of Scourge. "All units, weapons free. Save the Luminari, kill the bugs." The battle had begun. Inside the research building, the Luminari scientists watched in amazement as the human soldiers fought. The aliens had never seen such organized violence before. "They move as one," whispered a Luminari researcher to Defense Minister Thalren. "See how they protect each other and advance in patterns? It's like they're dancing, but with death." Thalren nodded, his 4 eyes blinking one after another. "But can even these Deathworlders save us? There are so many Scourge." The answer came sooner than expected. A squad of human Marines broke through the Scourge lines, fighting their way to the research building's main entrance. Their armor was covered in yellow Scourge blood, and they moved with purpose and confidence. Defense Minister Thalren called out the leader, a woman whose name tag read Reeves. "Captain Grant sent us to secure this location. We're here to help." For the first time in weeks, the Luminary felt hope. Back in orbit, Olivia watched the battle data from the ground. Teams. The human forces were holding their own, but the Scourge kept coming in waves. They seemed to have endless numbers. "We need to find where they're coordinating from," she said to her officers. "They're too organized for simple insect behavior. There must be a central control." Lieutenant Carter, monitoring communications, spoke up. "Captain, we're picking up strange signals between the Scourge ships and the ground forces. It's like they share one mind." "Can we block it?" Olivia asked. "Not yet, but we might be able to track it to its source." On the ground, the battle spread across the ruined city. The human Marines used the broken buildings as cover, setting traps and ambushes for the Scourge. The heavy walkers proved especially effective, their massive guns tearing through the insect troops while their thick armor protected them from return fire. Sergeant Reeves and her squad set up a defense line around the research building, working with the Luminari to strengthen the walls and set up automated turrets. "They'll come again soon," she told Private Eric Daniels, a young Marine on his first mission. "They always do. But this time we'll be ready." Eric checked his weapons charge. "What are they fighting for? What do they want?" "From what I can tell, they're like locusts," Lisa replied. "They strip a world bare and move on. They don't build, they don't create, they just consume." As the sun set over the ruined city, both sides prepared for the next phase of battle. The Scourge pulled back to regroup, while the humans fortified their positions and tended to their wounded. In the command center set up inside the research building, Olivia spoke with Thal Ren via video link. "We've secured the immediate area," she reported. "But this is just the beginning. The Scourge are regrouping and they still have control of most of the planet." "You've already done more than we hoped," Thal Ren replied. "My people had forgotten what it means to fight back. You have reminded us." Olivia nodded. "Tomorrow we start pushing them back. Tonight get some rest. The real battle is just beginning." As the Luminari night fell, the humans stood watch over their new allies. On a world far from Earth, Deathworlders had brought war to those who had only known peace, not as conquerors but as protectors. The Scourge had never seen anything like human warfare. For 3 days the battle raged across the ruins of the Luminari city. The insect invaders had large numbers on their side, but the humans brought something the peaceful aliens of the Galactic Council had forgotten long ago: the art of fighting, perfected through thousands of years of conflict. Inside the command center in the research building, Olivia studied the battle map with Defense Minister Thal Ren, a tall, thin Luminari whose glowing skin had grown dim from lack of rest. "Your people fight like nothing I've ever seen," Thal Ren said, his 4 eyes blinking one after another. "We owe you a debt we can never repay." Olivia nodded, still focused on the map. "The north area is secure. We've pushed them back 10 kilometers from the city center, but they're gathering for another attack." Commander Beth Reed entered the command center, her armor scratched and dented from recent fighting. "Captain, we've figured out their communication system. They're using a type of hive mind. Each Scourge group has a sub-queen that passes orders from the main queenship in orbit. Can we use that against them?" Olivia asked. Beth smiled. "Lieutenant Nelson thinks so. His team captured one of their communication nodes intact. If we can tap into their network and send fake commands, we could make them walk right into our traps." Olivia finished. "Give Nelson whatever he needs, and tell Sergeant Reeves to get her squad ready for a special mission." Outside the research building, the human forces had built a strong defense using energy shields, automatic guns, and smart positioning. The surviving Luminari watched in amazement as the human soldiers worked with practiced skill, turning the broken city into a fortress. Sergeant Lisa Reeves moved among her squad, checking equipment and boosting morale. Her armor was covered with the yellowish fluid that was Scourge blood, a mark of honor among the Marines. "Listen up," she announced to her team. "We have new orders from the captain. We're going to hit a Scourge command node 5 kilometers east of our position. Our job is to plant this device." She held up a small black box, "which will let us mess with their communications. Any questions?" Private Eric Daniels, a young recruit on his first mission, raised his hand. "How are we getting there, Sarge? That area's full of bugs." Lisa grinned. "The fun way, kid, orbital drop." Hours later, Lisa's squad was falling through the atmosphere in individual drop pods, each soldier sealed in a metal capsule barely larger than their armored body. The pod's heat shields glowed orange as they tore through the Luminari sky. "Impact in 30 seconds, Lisa announced over the squad channel. "Remember, hit hard, move fast, finish the job. We go home when the mission is done." The drop pods crashed into the ground around the Scourge command node, a pulsing organic structure that looked like a mix between a termite mound and a radio tower. Before the dust settled, the pods split open, and the human Marines came out, guns blazing. The Scourge reacted with their usual swarm tactics, but the humans had planned their landing to create maximum confusion. With practiced skill, the squad cut a path toward the command node, their specialized weapons tearing through the insect creatures. "Cover me!" Lisa shouted as she reached the base of the structure. She placed the device against the pulsing surface and turned it on. 30 seconds to connection, keep them off me." The squad formed a defensive circle around their sergeant, firing nonstop as waves of Scourge soldiers charged their position. Eric found himself shoulder to shoulder with Corporal Diane Foster, a veteran of 3 campaigns. "They just keep coming," he shouted as he reloaded his rifle. Diane laughed, the sound strange amid the chaos of battle. "That's why we brought so much ammo, rookie." Back at the research facility, Lieutenant Jack Nelson watched his screen closely as the device made contact with the Scourge network. "I'm in," he announced to Olivia and Beth. "Ready to send fake orders on your command." Olivia studied the battle map. "Have all Scourge forces in sectors 7 through 9 gather at these coordinates." She pointed to an area where human artillery had pre-targeted the terrain. "Then send a withdrawal order for their forces in the western approach. That should create an opening for our counterattack." Jack's fingers moved quickly over his console. "Sending now." Across the battlefield, confusion spread through the Scourge ranks as conflicting orders reached their sub-queens. Entire groups changed direction mid-advance, creating gaps in their lines that the human forces were quick to exploit. In orbit, the space battle had reached a critical point. The Resolute and its escorts had destroyed over half the Scourge fleet, but not without taking damage themselves. The enemy vessels were pulling back, forming a protective screen around a massive ship that had stayed at the edge of the battle zone. "That's their queen ship," Sam informed Olivia during their secure communication. "Our analysis shows it's coordinating the entire invasion. If we can take it out, the ground forces might lose direction." "Can we reach it?" Olivia asked. Sam hesitated. "Yes, but it would mean leaving the planet's orbit exposed. They could send more troops to the ground while we're fighting the Queen ship." Olivia considered her options. "Prepare a special operations team. We're going to board that ship." The plan was bold, even by human standards. While the main fleet kept pressure on the Scourge vessels, a stealth shuttle would approach the Queen ship from its blind spot, using debris from destroyed vessels as cover. A small team of elite operators would board the vessel, fight their way to its control center, and plant explosives at critical points. As the shuttle approached its target, Olivia addressed the 6-person team she had chosen to lead personally. "This mission is high risk, but could end the war. We don't know much about Scourge ship layout, so we'll have to adapt as we go." Questions? Lieutenant Sam Miller, who had insisted on joining the mission, checked his weapon. "Just one, Captain. How many bugs do you think are on that ship?" Olivia smiled grimly. "Probably more than we have bullets, so make every shot count." The shuttle silently attached itself to the hull of the massive Queen ship. Using cutting tools, the team created their own entry point and slipped inside. What followed was a running battle through the organic corridors of the alien vessel. The inside was hot, humid, and dimly lit by glowing patches. Scourge defenders emerged from every junction, but the human team moved with coordinated precision, saving ammunition and using the unfamiliar environment to their advantage. "This way," Sam whispered, looking at the portable scanner he carried. "I'm detecting a massive power signature 2 levels down. Must be the control center." As they fought their way deeper into the ship, Olivia began to understand the true nature of the Scourge. They weren't just mindless insects. They were a highly evolved collective intelligence, each drone an extension of the Queen's will. The deeper they went, the more specialized and dangerous the defenders became. Finally, they reached a massive chamber at the heart of the vessel. Inside, suspended in a web of pulsing organic material, was the Scourge Queen, a creature the size of a small house with multiple limbs and a grotesquely swollen body. Around her, attendant drones worked at what appeared to be organic control interfaces. "Plant the charges at these points," Olivia ordered, marking locations on her team's displays. "We need to be precise. This ship is biological. If we hit the right systems, the secondary effects should cascade throughout the structure." As the team moved to execute their plan, the Queen became aware of their presence. A psychic scream tore through their minds, momentarily disorienting them. Scourge defenders poured into the chamber from multiple entrances. "Hurry!" Olivia shouted, laying down covering fire. "We're about to have company." The battle in the Queen chamber was fierce and desperate. 2 of the human operators fell to Scourge attacks, but the remaining team members completed their task, planting explosives at critical junctions throughout the biological systems of the ship. "Charges set!" Sam called out, diving behind cover, as acid spray from a defender nearly caught him. 2-minute timer. Fall back to the extraction point, Olivia ordered. "Move!" The retreat was even more chaotic than the entry. Wounded and with limited ammunition, the human team fought their way back through the corridors, pursued by waves of enraged Scourge defenders. They reached their shuttle with seconds to spare, detaching from the hull as the first explosions began to rock the massive vessel. "Get us clear," Olivia commanded the pilot as the shuttle accelerated away from the doomed ship. Behind them, the Queen ship began to break apart, secondary explosions chaining through its structure as the carefully placed charges disrupted its biological systems. Without the Queen's coordinating influence, the remaining Scourge vessels fell into disarray, their attacks becoming uncoordinated and ineffective. On the planet's surface, the effect was even more dramatic. The Scourge ground forces suddenly stopped in their tracks, their hive-mind connection severed. Some continued fighting on instinct, but without central coordination, they were easily picked off by the human forces. The tide had turned, but the war was not yet over. 1 week after the destruction of the Queen ship, the Luminary capital was safe. Human Marines and their Luminary allies had cleared the city of remaining Scourge forces, which had become disorganized and easy to defeat without their Queen's guidance. In the grand hall of the partly rebuilt Luminary Council building, Captain Olivia Grant stood before a gathering of survivors. Her uniform clean and pressed for the occasion despite the bandage visible on her neck, where a Scourge claw had almost gotten her. Defense Minister Thal Ren walked to the speaking platform, his skin now glowing brightly again. "People of Luminari, today we honor those who came to help us in our darkest time. When we faced extinction, the humans answered our call." The gathered Luminari, tall, graceful beings with 4 arms and softly glowing skin, raised their voices in a beautiful song of thanks. The sound was unlike anything the humans had heard before, echoing through the crystal walls of the hall. "Captain Grant," Thalren continued, "your people have shown us that there is strength in the harsh path your species has walked. We had dismissed Deathworlders as violent and unpredictable, but now we understand that those very qualities, controlled by compassion and discipline, make you the protectors our galaxy needed." Olivia stepped forward. "Minister, we were simply doing what humans have always done, standing up against bullies. Your people are brilliant scientists, artists, and thinkers. Ours are fighters. Today our strengths work together perfectly, in C." The audience, Sergeant Lisa Reeves, sat with her squad, including young Private Eric Daniels, who now wore a Medal of Honor given by the Luminary government. Next to them, Lieutenant Jack Nelson and his tech team were talking with Luminary scientists, sharing ideas about the captured Scourge technology. "The battle is won," Olivia continued, speaking to everyone in the hall. "But we've learned that the Scourge are not totally defeated. The Queen we destroyed was just one of many. Their empire covers multiple star systems at the edge of known space, and they will not take this loss lightly." A worried murmur ran through the crowd. Fear, so recently gone, threatened to return. "But they will find us ready." Olivia's voice grew stronger. "The Luminari have shared their advanced defensive technology with Earth, and we are providing military training and equipment to help rebuild your defense forces. This partnership helps us both." Ambassador Krill, who had stayed on the Resolute during the battle, stepped forward. "The Galactic Council has voted unanimously to offer humanity full membership with all rights and benefits. Your actions here have proven beyond doubt that you deserve a place among the stars." Admiral Frank Dawson, who had arrived with reinforcements after the Queen ship's destruction, nodded in approval. This was a diplomatic breakthrough beyond their expectations. Earth had been kept at a distance by the galactic community for decades, feared for the very qualities that had saved the Luminari. "We accept with thanks," Olivia replied, "and we propose an immediate joint military force to protect Council worlds from future Scourge invasions. No peaceful species should face such horrors alone again." The celebration that followed mixed human and Luminari traditions. The aliens had never tasted alcohol before, and found the human custom of toasting victories both strange and delightful. The humans, in turn, were amazed by the Luminari light dancing, where performers used their glowing skin to create stories in patterns of light and color. On the observation deck of the Resolute, now in orbit for repairs, Olivia found a moment of quiet. She looked down at the Luminari homeworld, its blue-green surface already showing signs of recovery as the crystal cities were rebuilt. Sam Miller joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Quite a view." "It is," she agreed, taking the coffee gratefully. "Hard to believe just days ago we were fighting for our lives down there. The engineers say we'll be space-worthy again within the week. The luminary fabrication technology is incredible. They've fixed hull damage that would have taken our shipyards months." Olivia nodded. "And we've given them something equally valuable. The knowledge that they don't have to be victims." A communication. Alert sounded and Admiral Dawson's face appeared on the nearby screen. "Captain Grant, we've received an urgent message from Earth. 3 more distress signals have been detected from Council worlds under Scourge attack. UEDF Command is mobilizing the fleet." Olivia straightened, the brief moment of peace already forgotten. "The Resolute will be ready, Admiral. Where are we headed?" "The Centauri outposts first, then the Arboreal Collective, both under heavy attack." "We'll save them," Olivia said with quiet confidence. "That's what humans do." As the call ended, she turned back to the window, her reflection overlaid against the stars beyond. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or colonizers, but as protectors. The species that had once been feared for their Deathworld origins would now be welcomed across the stars. The aliens had cried for help, and the Deathworlders had brought firepower. But they had also brought hope. In the weeks that followed, more human ships arrived at the Luminari homeworld. Some brought additional troops and supplies, while others began the task of establishing Earth's first official embassy to the Galactic Council. On the ground, human military trainers worked with Luminari volunteers to establish a defense force. The Luminari had no history of warfare, but they were quick learners, and their advanced technology combined with human tactics created something new, a fighting force built not on aggression, but on the principle of protection. "They're naturals at drone operations," Lieutenant Carter told Olivia during an inspection of the new training facility. "Their multi-limbed physiology gives them an advantage with complex control systems. And their energy manipulation technology is decades ahead of ours," added Commander Reed. "We've already adapted some of their designs to improve our shield systems." This exchange of knowledge flowed both ways. Luminary scientists studied human combat armor, fascinated by its blend of protection and mobility. Human engineers marveled at Luminari power systems which drew energy directly from quantum fluctuations. But perhaps the most profound changes were cultural. Luminari children, who had grown up in a society that valued only peace and harmony, now played at being human. Marines. They built pretend weapons from scrap materials and staged mock battles against imaginary Scourge invaders. Some older Luminari found this disturbing, but Defense Minister Thal Ren had a different perspective. "Balance," he told a council of elders, who had expressed concern. "For too long we embraced only creation and forgot that sometimes preservation requires defense. The humans are teaching us what we had forgotten, that to truly value life, one must sometimes be willing to fight for it." On Earth, news of the successful Luminari campaign was met with both pride and curiosity. Humans had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew the answer. Not only were they not alone, but they had a special place in the galactic community. Recruitment for the United Earth Defense Force soared as young people, inspired by stories of the Luminari campaign, sought to join humanity's first line of defense. Universities established xenobiology and xenolinguistics departments practically overnight, rushing to prepare the next generation for a future among the stars. As the Resolute prepared to depart for its next mission, Olivia took one last look at the Luminari homeworld from the bridge of her ship. What had begun as a desperate rescue mission had turned into something much more significant, the beginning of humanity's true place in the galaxy. "Course laid in for the Centauri outposts, Captain," Sam reported from his station. "All systems ready?" "Very good, Lieutenant," Olivia replied. "Let's go introduce ourselves to some more neighbors." As the human fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, news of their departure spread across the Luminari world. They watched the ships go not with fear, but with gratitude and hope. The Deathworlders had come with firepower, but they had left as friends. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the remaining Scourge Queens sensed a new player had entered the galactic stage, a species that, unlike any they had encountered before, knew how to fight back. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Scourge faced a force they could not simply overwhelm. The Deathworlders were coming, and they were bringing firepower. The end.